Welcome back to EDI Sports Cards. Thank you all for joining. There's going to be two things I'm going to do in this video. The first is going to be a solution to try to help grow the hobby and also connect more with people. And then the second thing is, if you want to see what cards were going for back in the late 80s, early 90s, I actually went into the archives and found one of my inventory sheets that I had when I was a teenager, when I was a dealer. So if you stayed at the very end, I'm going to share that inventory list with you. It has card prices. It has some prices of what I bought for, because I used to buy team sets, and sometimes I'd keep the team sets, sometimes I'd break them up depending on if there was a really high value card in there to sell, to someone else. So anyway, that'll be at the very end of this video. But in this one, and I promised that I would be making more videos about solutions, because one of the problems that I see on YouTube is that there's a lot of social media influencers who just like to do a lot of complaining videos. And I'm not going to name any names. I'm just going to say, when you call out things without giving solutions, that's a problem. For all of you that have been following me, one, I want to thank you so much. And two, let me give you a little bit more background into who I am, my career, and everything else. So one of the first careers that I had, I've had 4 or 5 careers in my lifetime. One of the first careers I had was as a journalist. And so I was a news and political reporter for WRKL Radio in New York. And then I was also a sports reporter for the Star-Ledger newspaper. I'm going to show some clips here. And so one of the things that I want everybody to understand is I think this can actually be one of the solutions. So I'm going to give a shout out to SCR, Sportscard Radio, and I think that they have an opportunity to really help the hobby, and this is my suggestion. They do a live stream every single week now, and I think it's awesome. I haven't been able to catch it live because honestly on Thursday nights I'm sort of busy. But what I think that they are starting to understand is that they have a real opportunity and an audience within the YouTube community. And if they continue to do the type of content that they're doing, I think that they could do this well. All right, so here's the solution. The concept is to have a news show, but then you have correspondence. And since Sportscard Radio has the news outlet, my suggestion would be to have correspondence. And I would certainly love to be a correspondent for them here in Arizona. I'm no longer on the East Coast. And my suggestion would be to them to have correspondence in each region of the country, at which point they would be able to get the information and news that they're looking for, and then they can bring the correspondents on, maybe once a month and give an update as to how the market is doing, how the hobby is doing within that local area. So these are my suggestions. Since California is big and they're up in Northern California, I would have someone in Southern California. Obviously, I'm open to being in Arizona and, maybe have somebody in Las Vegas, have somebody down in Dallas, have somebody over in Denver, maybe definitely have someone in New York or New Jersey, up in Boston, maybe Philadelphia, Florida. And if you could get correspondence throughout the country, all giving information as to all right, so this is how the market is doing in these particular areas. Again, real-time information. Sportscard Radio could become the go-to place on YouTube. Absolutely. If that's where all the news is being reported, everybody in the hobby will be able to go to them. One, they can trust that the information is real-time. 2, that it's coming from all parts of the country. And 3, you're getting it live. You're getting the actual information that you want. And if you have questions, you could put those questions down as Sportscard Radio, and they can then tell their correspondents, hey, I want you to go out and find out this information. So one of the roles that I had when I worked at a radio station was I was the producer for election night. Again, I was a news and political reporter. So I used to cover, school board meetings. I would cover city council meetings. I'd cover the mayor. I'd cover the governor. I'd cover all the stuff that was going on in New York. But on election night, I was not a reporter. I was in the studio. I was a producer behind the scenes, making sure that the show went well, getting all the election results. It was a lot of work. One of my correspondents that I sent out is now a major news radio reporter in New York. He's on WCBS Radio 880. And so, he started his career with me, and I was the producer, and he told me after we did election night, he was like, that was the best. I can't thank you enough. I was not bringing my A game to the table, and you basically laid it out for me. You're like, you got to go talk to this person, and you're a reporter for the radio. They need you more than you need them. Go tell them who you are and go get that interview. And he did, and it was part of his reel, which actually got him the job on WCBS Radio in New York. So he started his career because he was able to do all this stuff at the lower end station in New York. That's my suggestion, is for Sports Card Radio to start doing correspondence. Again, I volunteer here in Arizona. If there's anybody in Arizona that wants to talk to someone about whatever questions you have. Again, I have a political background, reporter background, journalist background, and so I'm trying to use my skills, my leadership skills. I did a whole other career after all of that, so I'll just put it that way. So I'm trying to use my leadership skills to bring everything together. I know that Fanatics did a big conference on the state of the hobby and announced that they want to 10x the hobby. I'm just going to say this right now. I have no idea how they're going to do that. They did not disclose what their strategy is, what their plan is, how they're going to actually accomplish that. And I'm going to tell you that whatever they think that they're going to do, it's not going to be as easy as they think. They are run by a bunch of rich guys. And unfortunately, that's not what the hobby is. The hobby is you and me. It's just regular people spending 10, 20, 30 bucks on cards. That's the hobby. And right now, there's no product for us. If I go to Target, if I go to Walmart, I can't find anything for less than 30 bucks. That's a problem. I want to find retail boxes, blasters, or something for less than $30. If I'm going to be able, if I get 35 cards in a box, it needs to be $9.99. I don't know what else to tell you. If you're going to sell me 60 cards, it needs to be $19.99. You can't charge me 30 bucks for that stuff. I'm just not going to pay it. Now, other people may pay it. I'm just telling you, you're wasting your money. It's not worth it. You're not going to pull anything out of those boxes that's worth anything. They're all just collectibles, and so they're not worth what the manufacturers are saying they're worth. The MSRP is inflated, and it's not worth that. So again, I hope that Fanatics understands that when they do boxes, when they do, sets, and I hope they stop selling complete sets. That would make the hobby better right there, because if you can't buy a complete set, then you have to buy the boxes to get the cards. If you can buy the complete set at the end of the season, why are you buying boxes? Why are you buying wax? Actually, this is the inventory sheet. So I'm going to show you, right here, you can see wax box, wax case. I had all of these things. And so this is what they were priced at. I don't know the year. I would assume this is either 89 or 90 because I can see the prices. And so I'm assuming. So an 89 score wax box, as you can see, went for $11.75. That's it. It wasn't really going for much more than that. An 89 tops was $12.75. That's what the price was. You know, obviously the upper deck was the only wax at that time that was worth anything back in the day. So the Topps wax boxes were not worth anything. The Donruss was worth more, as you can see at 14, and Fleer was worth 23 because they were much rarer. Absolutely, the 89 Fleer was hard to get, and Fleer in general was hard to get. There were no distributors. There was no product. Even back then, it was very hard to get. 91 actually is when Fleer really started to pump out cards. But before that, very rare. 86 Fleer, very rare. So if you have those Barry Bonds rookies, Canseco rookies, like in the Fleer series from 86, very rare cards. So again, that's my point. And just so everybody's also aware, 86 Fleer basketball was garbage back in 86. Nobody wanted that because nobody collected basketball cards back in the day. No one collected basketball cards. So I maybe had 1 or 2 boxes of 86 Fleer basketball. I could not get a hold of any 86 basketball back then. It just wasn't available, which is why those cards are worth so much. The Michael Jordan rookie, which is why they're worth a lot more than a lot of other cards, because there just wasn't as much product from Fleer. So if everybody's trying to wonder, like, well, what was it? It was all about the volume. So when I started getting 86 star cards, and I know PSA is starting to grade those now as well, I never got an 86 Jordan, but I did have, Barkley, I had Hakeem Olajuwon. I actually have a whole bunch in my collection. So I had all of those cards, 86 star. I personally liked them. I liked the off-brand sets. Like I had Broder, I had Star, I had Limit, I had the gold Star cards as well, the very limited edition series. So which they only printed 1,500 sets. So if you're looking for things that are rare, those are the rare stuff. Now, I don't know how much is still left. I don't know if people threw stuff out. I have no idea. I know a lot of people saved their cards from the 80s and 90s. A lot. Probably a lot more than should have saved them because they're not worth anything today unless you get them slabbed in a PSA 10 or an SGC 10, which is very hard to do because, again, when you didn't grade them at the time, then over time they degrade. And so that's the point, is that's why they're rarer. The issue we have today in the hobby is that everybody's grading cards right now. As soon as you buy the card, as soon as you open up the pack, you're grading the card. Now that's good for posterity. Like that means that that's a PSA 10 or an SGC 10 today, and it will be 10 years from now and 20 years from now. But everyone's got the same idea that you do. So yeah, so what we've done is we've transferred the fact that ungraded cards were the bulk. Now you're going to have graded cards are the bulk, and they're not going to be worth anything because when you have 50,000 PSA 10s or SGC 10s or even combined 75,000, 80,000 cards, again, you're going to need to look at the pop counts. When you do PSA pop counts, you're also going to need to go and do SGC pop counts. You're going to need to look at both because that's going to tell you how many cards are actually out there. And if you're over 1,000 to 2,000 cards, it's just not rare. I would venture to say if it goes above 1,500, if like a pop count's over 1,500, you don't have a very rare card, just the way it is. If you have less than 100 pop count, though that's a much rarer card. And again, if you have even less than that, that's the whole point. So I want to thank everybody. So let's wrap up exactly what was in this video. So the first is the solution, Sports Card Radio. I think you should be doing correspondence on your channel. I would love to. I'm volunteering for the Arizona market. If anybody's in this area, you can contact me on IG. Just hit me a DM. Let me know what area you're in. What do you collect? Are you a collector? Are you a buyer? Are you a dealer? I would love to talk to more dealers. Again, I also have a whole bunch of stuff. So if dealers want some stuff, again, I'm giving dealer discounts on everything. So just let me know. And then the other piece is, if you have more questions about the hobby back in the day or the hobby today, please put them in the comments below. Want to thank everybody for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.